The first snow fell, and your body had no idea what it was. For millions of years, your ancestors lived under a warm African sun. Bare skin, no fur, a body built for heat. And then they walked north, into a world that got colder than anything their blood had ever known. The temperature dropped. The wind turned to knives, and by every rule of biology, they should have died. So how did any of them survive that first winter? Here is the uncomfortable truth. Your body, the one you are sitting in right now, is a tropical machine. Strip away your clothes, your house, your heating, and drop you into a freezing night, and you would last only hours. You have no thick coat. You cannot hibernate. You cannot grow a layer of blubber in a week. Compared to a wolf or a bear, you are pathetically dangerously unequipped for the cold. And that should have been the end of the story. It wasn't, because your ancestors did something no other animal had ever done. When their bodies could not adapt to the world, they changed the world to fit their bodies. It started with fire. This was the first and greatest survival technology our species ever controlled, and it changed everything. A fire is a sun you can carry. It pushes back the freezing dark, it cooks food into more energy, and it turns a cold cave into something a fragile, hairless ape can actually live through. The primatologist Richard Wrangham has argued that our relationship with fire goes back so far it literally reshaped us, shrinking our guts and feeding our growing brains. But on a freezing winter night, fire did something simpler and more urgent. It kept you from dying before morning. The hearth was the center of the ancient world for a reason. Step too far from it in winter, and you did not come back. But fire alone could not save you. You cannot carry a bonfire on your back while you hunt across a frozen plain. To survive out there, your ancestors needed something stranger. They needed to invent a second skin. This is where it gets remarkable. For most of history, when humans got cold, they simply draped a raw animal hide over their shoulders. Useful, but loose, leaky, and clumsy. Then, somewhere in the deep Ice Age, someone did something revolutionary. They cut hides into shapes and stitched them together into fitted clothing that sealed the body off from the cold. The archaeologist Gilligan has argued that this leap, the move from simple draped furs to complex tailored clothing, was nothing less than a survival requirement for living through the worst of the Ice Age. Without it, the coldest parts of the planet were simply uninhabitable. With it, humans could walk into them. And we can actually date roughly when this happened, using one of the strangest clues in all of science. Lice. The geneticist Mark Stoneking realized that clothing lice, the kind that live only in clothes, must have evolved from head lice at the moment humans first started wearing clothes regularly. By measuring how long ago those two kinds of lice split apart, his team estimated that humans began clothing themselves at least 100,000 years ago, and possibly much earlier. Your first winter coat is so ancient that the parasites living in it evolved into a brand new species. So now you have fire to survive the night and tailored clothing to survive the day. But there was still the deepest problem of all: food. In winter, the plants die. The fruit is gone. The easy calories vanish exactly when your body is burning the most fuel just to stay warm. An ancient human in winter was a furnace running out of wood. The answer was to change what you ate and how you stored it. Winter pushed humans toward meat and, above all, fat, the most concentrated energy in nature. They learned to hunt the great cold-adapted animals, to render fat, to dry and cache food when times were good, so there was something left when the snow came. Survival in winter was not just about staying warm in the moment. It was about planning, months ahead, for a season that had not arrived yet. It demanded a kind of foresight most animals simply do not have, and not everyone made it. This is the part we forget. For every group that learned to wrap itself in fire and fur and stored fat, there were others who did not, who pushed into the cold and vanished without a trace. Even the Neanderthals, whose stocky, barrel-chested bodies were far better built for cold than yours, eventually disappeared. Surviving winter was never guaranteed. It was a test that most who took it failed. And you are descended from the narrow line that passed. And here is where that first winter reaches all the way into yours, because you are still running the survival program your ancestors wrote in the cold. The way you crave fatty, rich food the moment the days grow short. The way you instinctively pull closer to other people when it's cold, sharing warmth without thinking. The way a fire or even a single candle still calms something deep in you. That is not a quirk. That is 100,000 winters of memory, written into your body, reminding you of a time when warmth was the difference between seeing spring and not. The first snow fell, and your body had no idea what it was. But your ancestors did not survive that winter because their bodies were ready. They survived because they were the first creatures on Earth who could look at a frozen, killing world and decide, with fire in their hands and fur on their backs, that they were going to live through it anyway.